for Esther Gitui Ewart. Welcome to Africa 54. Here is what's coming up.
Malawi farmers diversify crop cultivation for food security in hopes of avoiding a food crisis. The White House Correspondents' dinner brings political satire to the forefront. And in our entertainment report, South Sudanese Afro-pop artist BulBul makes waves with his new hot single, Check Your Body. All this and much more on today's Africa 54.
We begin our broadcast on Friday at the World Bank, which says it is providing over $57 million in quick release grant financing to Malawi to help the country respond to a food crisis. Malawi is suffering due to El Nino conditions in southern Africa. The region is reeling from its worst drought in years, credited to a combination of naturally occurring El Nino when an abnormal warming of the waters in the eastern Pacific radiates heat into the air, leading to hotter weather across the world and higher average temperatures produced by greenhouse gas emissions. Over the last month, Malawi, Zimbabwe, and Zambia have all declared a state of disaster from the drought. Farmers in rural Malawi are learning to move away from over-dependence on maize, the country's primary staple crop. A local charity, Never Ending Food, is teaching farmers about the 100 types of food crops they can grow and eat. Lamek Masina reports from Lilongwe.
Malawians have long relied on nsima as their main food. The hearty porridge made from maize flour is eaten with meat, fish and vegetables. This food is also eaten in other African countries in the region. But in Malawi, the saying goes, if you haven't eaten nsima, then you haven't eaten, no matter what other crops farmers grow. The local charity Never Ending Food in Malawi's capital, Lilongwe, is working to change that. Manager Hadiwell Kanye says through permaculture, farmers learn about over 200 types of crops they can grow and eat, including cassava, potatoes, millet, sorghum, and yams.
The reason being not just for them to have a variety of foods on their table, but also to give them better nutrition. And when the farmers plant together different types of foods, it is also good for the soil. The soil remains nutritious.
Up to 40% of the population in Malawi is currently facing food shortages, largely because of El Nino-induced dry spell, which has damaged more than 2/5 of national crop areas, largely maize. The situation forced President Lazarus Chakwera to declare a state of disaster and appeal for international help. But Ethel Katumba, a single mother of 6 children, says Never Ending Food's crop diversification training has helped transform her home into a house of plenty. While her maize is suffering in the dry spell, her cowpeas and other crops are doing well.
In the past, I faced a lot of problems in situations like this. I used to beg for food from my employers or other people to survive. But now that I've learned to grow various types of crops, I don't face food shortages anymore.
The charity trains farmers and government agriculture extension workers, field officers from agriculture non-profits, and university students.
I choose to use this permaculture knowledge to improve the ecosystem here in Malawi and to improve the climate so that the future generation can have amazing environment that people can have plenty of food.
Advocates say permaculture can potentially address the food shortages Malawi has long faced. Daniel Jinkunta is a government extension worker who received Never Ending Food's training.
Especially when we look into the rise in prices of fertilizers and then the rise in prices of hybrid maize. Farmers are now taking it to their own to start engaging fully in permaculture practices. So I should say the response has been positive.
as farmers like Ethel Katumba learn the importance of food diversification, experts hope the hunger situation in Malawi will soon be history. Lamek Masina, VOA News, Lilongwe.
The U.S. is relocating most of the approximately 100 forces it has deployed in Chad, and the majority of the 1,000 U.S. personnel assigned to Niger are also expected to depart. Both African countries have been integral to the U.S. military's efforts to counter violent extremist organizations across the Sahel region. But Niger's ruling junta ended an agreement last month that allows U.S. troops to operate in the West African country. A U.S. official speaking on condition of anonymity says a few dozen Special Forces troops who are in Chad as planners and advisors will move to Germany for now. In West Africa, Burkina Faso is temporarily suspending the programs of the Voice of America and BBC Africa following the broadcast of news stories about a Human Rights Watch report accusing the Burkinabe army of abuses against civilian populations. The Superior Council of Communication Thursday ordered the immediate halt of the rebroadcasts and suspension of the programs of both international radio stations for 2 weeks. Access to the websites and digital platforms of BBC, VOA, and Human Rights Watch was also suspended within Burkina Faso. In its broadcast of the story on the Human Rights Watch report, VOA sought reactions from several Burkinabe officials but did not receive any response. VOA will be issuing a statement on this matter. For more insight on the VOA and BBC Africa suspensions, we are joined from Dakar, Senegal, by Sadu Marang, the West Africa Bureau Director of Reporters Sans Frontières. Mr. Marang, what is your takeaway from this situation? Is this censorship?
Thank you very much for having me. Yes, we can consider that it is a modern censorship. It is a kind of a blunt disregard the right to information in a more broader way. What happened is, we are having in Burkina Faso since this junta came to power a kind of succession of suspensions coming from French outlets or any other outlet, but now it is VOA and BBC. This shows that how far the authorities now they are ready to go in order to control the information, to control the narrative of let's say what is their own response to the fight back of the armed group terrorists. This is the situation, and it is yet another disregard to the right to information. We are really condemning.
So talk to us about the work of Reporters Sans Frontières in a situation like this. What is the organization able to do to ensure that there is a free press and also that the journalists are protected?
Any time of situation like this, we use what we consider our own public advocacy or reaction in order for that the world needs to know what is happening in Burkina Faso, so that we can react, we can speak to the media, and also to sensitize and to the authority and call on the authorities. Anytime we have the possibility to speak directly to the authorities, we do that. Actually, what happens in this case is, we even are able to use, kind of technological way. So, for example, so as to bypass the fact that VOA website is not accessible, or BBC website is not accessible inside Burkina Faso, or even the Human Rights Watch website are actually blocked. We can use a technological way we consider as a collateral freedom. It is a very interesting system. We have been using in many other countries in the Sahel, including even in Burkina Faso, in Mali, and Niger, so as to bypass the fact that authorities they are asking or ordering, telecommunication agencies, so that to block the access. So we have that possibility. But beyond, what is more important is to let the people, the world know for example, and to get many other organizations like the United Nations also to react on this, and hopefully we have seen this morning. I mean, the UN Human Rights Organization also reacting on this is a really excellent part, showing how far the authorities in Burkina Faso now their own direction in terms of censorship, but this is far more than censorship. But this is a really attack against the right to information and press freedom.
And this is a temporary suspension, according to Burkinabe officials. How do you foresee what will happen after 2 weeks?
I think normally, I mean, this is most of the time how they proceed, and we are happy to see it's temporary, and we are also looking forward to see how they're going to behave after the 2 weeks in terms of behavior. Also, I mean, we believe that the two broadcasters, VOA and Voice of America, they have done nothing that they work, their job. And also, it is also should be a kind of wake-up call for the authorities themselves in Burkina Faso. Okay. For example, anytime there are people, journalists at the international, they are coming to them to seek their reaction, they need to react so as to have balanced information. If they don't react, I mean, journalists, they are entitled to also to broadcast the information they have collected.
Okay, Mr. Marang, we have to leave it there. Thank you so much for joining us today.
My pleasure.
Sadu Marang is the West Africa Bureau Director of Reporters Sans Frontières. Journalists in Nigeria are leading efforts to hold public officials accountable through a Center for Journalism Innovations and Development initiative. Reporters investigate public infrastructure projects and spread the news about community resources. Timothy Obiezu has the details.
James Akbarshe arrives for a checkup at the community medical center in Dadere, but it's not for his health. The student journalist is there to see how well the government-run center in Nigeria's central Nasarawa state is working. It's part of an initiative called Udeme, an Ibibio word for My Share. It sends student journalists, known as U-monitors, to investigate public projects and hold authorities accountable.
Sometimes you travel to those communities where those projects have been awarded, you discover that those residents don't want to talk to you because they have no idea of those projects. So you face challenges, maybe sometimes threats to your life. When a lawmaker find out or individual find out you are doing a story that will implicate him.
The Media Non-Profit Center for Journalism, Innovation and Development, or CJID, launched Udeme in 2018. It recruits about 100 students like Akbarshe each year. They track public infrastructure projects like the construction of schools and hospitals. And they talk to residents about what they find.
So our youth monitors are fluent in the local dialect in those places. So when they go on radio shows, they speak in those local dialects so that people can understand the relevance of the topic that we're talking about. And we see them calling in after the program.
Nigeria ranks 145th out of 180 countries on the Transparency International Corruption Perceptions Index. The CGID says ignorance is often why public officials are not held accountable. At a visit to Nigeria's Independent Corrupt Practices Commission in February, authorities pledged their support.
The issue of corruption and corrupt practices is a problem. We will always continue to work with you.
CGID says its approach brings change and could be model other media should follow. The initiative brings results. When Akbarshe first visited this health center, it was not operational. A few months after he reported on it, the government opened the hospital to the community, a small step to holding public officials accountable. Timothy Obiezu, VOA News, Abuja, Nigeria.
Now, every April, the sitting U.S. president and the White House media gather to make fun of each other. The star-studded White House Correspondents' dinner is a good time to analyze how a president changes his speech to his audience. Here is VOA senior Washington correspondent Caroline Presutti about what to expect this year in the middle of a campaign.
It's where the magnificent with glamour and glitz meet the mundane with policy and politics. Journalists run the White House Correspondents' Dinner, but the real stars are the president and the comedian chosen to entertain. Sometimes the president is the comedian.
I've been criticized for going over the heads of Congress. So what's the fuss? A lot of things go over their heads.
The April dinner makes fun of the sitting president, who responds with customized one-liners for the White House reporters and their guests. Those guests include Hollywood stars and other celebrities.
After all, I believe in the First Amendment, not just because my good friend Jimmy Madison wrote it.
In this election year, longtime dinner guests expect President Biden to allude to his opponent.
I think one of his central themes throughout his presidency has been the importance of democracy and the fragile nature of it at this particular time.
It's an American tradition for every president. But in 1981, President Ronald Reagan missed the dinner because he was recovering from an assassination attempt. Since then, every president has attended the event, except Donald Trump, who never attended during his term.
I think that just wasn't something that he was interested in doing.
Especially after 2011, when businessman Trump suffered a barrage of criticism from President Barack Obama and comedian Seth Meyers.
Donald Trump has been saying that he will run for president as a Republican, which is surprising since I just assumed he was running as a joke.
No one is happier, no one is prouder to put this birth certificate matter to rest than the Donald. And that's because he can finally get back to focusing on the issues that matter. Like, did we fake the moon landing?
Others say the slam cemented his idea to run for president, which Trump denies. Most presidents make fun of the media and then use the opportunity to praise it.
The free press is a pillar, maybe the pillar of free society, not the enemy.
Especially in a world where reporters could be jailed for making a joke of the president, as noted by comedian Trevor Noah 2 years ago.
You understand how amazing that is? I stood here tonight and I made fun of the President of the United States, and I'm going to be fine. I'm going to be fine, right?
The benefit of democracy and a free press are on display in Washington again this Saturday night. Carolyn Presutti, VOA News.
We're excited to hear what you think about Africa 54 and all our VOA Africa programs on our website at voaafrica.com. Still to come, the hot new sound of South Sudanese entertainer Bul-Bul. We'll be right back. I'm not here.
When it comes to the entertainment business, it does not get any bigger than Disney.
Leaving an indelible print on networks including BET, ABC, and CNN.
Robert has always been about helping people.
If somebody tells you that there's no bias in the industry, they'd be lying.
Robert takes any and everybody that works for him under their wing.
And we had a pretty young staff at BET. They were very talented. I think the average age back then was in and around 25 years old.
Giving young people opportunities, helping them to discover pathways.
Every day I try to take advantage of being here on Earth and doing something positive because I know I was given another chance.
Season 4, rocking with the best. Rocking with the best.
Rwanda says it's ready to receive migrants from the United Kingdom after Britain's parliament this week approved a bill seeking to stem the flow of people crossing the English Channel in small boats by deporting some of them to the East African country. There is even a place ready and waiting for the migrants, a refurbished hostel in an upscale neighborhood of Kigali. Zimbabwe is arresting black market forex dealers who authorities say are distorting exchange rates as the Southern African nation prepares for its new gold-backed currency to enter circulation next week. Zimbabwe launched a new gold-backed currency called Zimbabwe Gold, ZiG, in early April and dumped the nation's troubled Zim dollar. And Kenya Airways is accusing authorities in the Democratic Republic of the Congo of harassment over the continued detention of two of the airline's staff for alleged customs violations, despite a court ordering their release. Officers from DRC's military intelligence detained the pair on April 19th for allegedly failing to complete customs documentation. Africa's entertainment industry is another stage where global competition between China and the US is playing out. African artists see it as an opportunity. Kate Bartlett has the details from Johannesburg.
It's 2 in the morning. The club scene is going strong, fueled by the beats of amapiano music.
If you've never heard an amapiano song and you're not from South Africa, when you just hear that sound, it just evokes emotions.
Amapiano is a kind of South African house music that Sean Stylist has been creating for several years. Recently, his work caught the attention of Warner Music. He just signed with the US label, which he hopes will lead him to international fame.
America is a platform. We give it to them. We give them what we have, we give them what is born inside us, and then it goes global.
African music, including amapiano, has been gaining popularity globally, highlighting the entertainment stage where China and the US are competing for soft power.
The US has long been competitive in the creative industries. The movie Black Panther did more for the US in Africa than, 10 Chinese premiere trips.
China has dominated investments in the continent's internet infrastructure and mobile phones. The Chinese music streaming app Boomplay has gained wide appeal across Africa, says China Africa expert and investor Aubrey Ruby.
So in terms of actual competitive edge, the Chinese have been building infrastructure globally for a long time now. And then, of course, on the phone side, that's where you see where the Chinese have really innovated to create an affordable smartphone in the form of techno phones.
This ecosystem allows US businesses to invest in the artists.
It is the record labels. It is Netflix. They're doing it because Africans are producing amazing global content.
Investments from the private sector are in line with a US presidential initiative called Prosper Africa, which aims to strengthen US-Africa trade and investment. The initiative recognizes creative industries as one arena that can drive business opportunities.
Prosper Africa still feels that American brands are incredibly competitive and incredibly strong. We're not really worried, in a sense, about competitiveness in those areas.
Instead of competition, Ruby says the US and China are actually playing complementary roles in the music industry.
It's not that, techno phones are in young Africans' hands, that it's hurting American business. In fact, it's probably more facilitating. Bringing the next 100 million, 200 million people online is massively beneficial for American companies.
Regardless of whether the US and China are competing or complementing each other in the creative space, it's African audiences and artists like Stylist who are benefiting from these investments from overseas, with the hope that music will continue to grow as an African export. Kate Bartlett, VOA News, Johannesburg.
In our entertainment report, we have fresh sounds from a familiar face out of South Sudan. VOA's Music Time in Africa host, Heather Maxwell, has the story.
Hi everybody, we are about to meet South Sudan's most popular singer-songwriter, LTD Bul-Bul. He's in South Sudan, we're joining him virtually. He's been away for 4 years and is back with a brand new single and music video called Check Your Body. Let's check him out.
Check your body, let me check your body.
Check Your Body is one of my new songs from the Man You Love album. I stopped music for 4 years. Then I decided to release Check Your Body to be the first song in the album because it's like I've been away, so I need people to dance now. You stop doing something, you have to come back so serious, and this is the beginning.
So that was released about 3 weeks ago, and I saw that it has already 20,000 views on it. Is that a lot for South Sudan?
Yeah, for South Sudan it's a big number because, you know, like in our country here, internet is not everywhere. We have no record label. It's a little bit difficult, like everything that I've been doing. So it was just me with my fans. People who love my music, they support. And then I decide, okay, I have to stop here and then I'll come back again. The only thing that gave me the motivation to work on the album, because I know I have people who love me so much, and what am I going to do for them?
Wow, that is great. I'm sure everyone is going to really appreciate hearing those songs. I also noticed on YouTube that you had a release party, and there were quite a few people in an auditorium. Was that in South Sudan that you organized yourself, as you say?
We're trying to develop our industry, and this one is a collective responsibility for each and every artist because our country is a very young country.
What is your biggest dream, LTD?
My biggest dream is for South Sudan music to go international. We really need to work very hard as the South Sudanese people to push this music internationally because now you can see like African music is everywhere now. It's the vibe. African music is the vibe now as we speak. So now we want to be part of that journey as we are part of it. Some of us, they already did it. Some of us are coming. Some of us are on the way. So we want to join the world and we want to give our contribution to the African music.
All right, so that was LTD Bul-Bul from South Sudan. Make sure to check out that music video. It's called Check Your Body, and more of his music coming up soon off of that new album called The Man That You Love. All right, that's it for entertainment this week. See you next week.
And that's our entertainment report for this week. Be sure to watch Heather Maxwell's entertainment reports every Friday here on Africa 54. And that's our show for today. Be sure to watch Africa 54 on our website at voaafrica.com. From all of us here in Washington,